The very development of organized civil society is under assault. Once again, Vladimir Lenin said, destroy the family, destroy society. The destruction of marriage is the destruction of family. It is a destruction of society. And that is something that I think is almost unarguable at this point in time. You look at what takes place in our society, and you can almost guess in many instances that the majority of the things that are going on that are bad, there are probably, not always, but usually, there are children of divorce involved. Children who are fatherless, children who may be motherless. So the state has basically abolished marriage. And I think this is very concerning for young people too, because if you want to get married, marriage can be the greatest blessing of your life. It can also be the greatest liability because the state, once you get married, the state says, now you're under our control. We can allow you to be divorced, and when you go through divorce, we can take your property, we can take your children, we can redistribute your wealth, we can tell you that you're a bad parent when you may have been an outstanding parent. We can do all of these things. If you are a young person contemplating marriage, you want to have some type of security in that. And I hate to break your bubble, to burst your bubble, but you actually have no security right now. You might say, well, we're two Christian people, we're getting married in the church. It does not make a difference. Even if you are Roman Catholic, you've got or Orthodox, you've gone through all of the special rites and you've said we have a religious marriage, the state thinks it can violate the sacrament of marriage and just completely cast it apart. And that's actually what happened in the situation here. They were not Catholics, but they did, I think they were both Methodist, but they entered into a religious marriage. Marriage is one of the basic civil rights of man. It's very fundamental to our existence and survival. You destroy marriage, you destroy that which is fundamental to our existence and survival. Once again, marriage has become a legal fiction. Marriage is the highest consideration in law. It is the most important social relation, the first step from barbarism to incipient civilization, the purest tie of social life, and the true basis of human progress. Marriage is more than a contract, it is the most elementary and useful of all social relations. Marriage creates the most important relation in life and has more to do with the morals and civilization of a people than any institution. The legislature prescribes the duties and obligations it creates in the acts which may constitute grounds for its dissolution. That's the way it used to be. Right now, there are no protections for marriage. No fault divorce is an illegal interference of the institution of marriage. Strong families are the foundation of every country. The nuclear family is a spinal cord of societal muscle with its children as its nerve center. It is therefore vital that this highest standard of scrutiny be applied when the allegation of the abolishment of marriage has been made. In any situation that somebody is applying for the destruction of marriage, the abolition of marriage, the state needs to have strict scrutiny to make sure that it's actually acting, number one, in accordance with public policy and the state's interest. And if it does act, if it feels that necessity to act, it has to do so in the narrowest of manners. That's it. Right now, what it does, it completely violates strict scrutiny. They need to make sure that there's an action that's actually allowing the state to do this. Without limits of conditionality, marriage is no longer a viable civil institution in this nation. Pennsylvania and many other states have abolished marriage as a civil institution by enacting unilateral no-fault divorce statutes. It is no longer a civil institution insofar as offering any legal protection to the parties involved. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has abolished marriage by enacting a divorce statute that renders marriage meaningless. There are no rights to marriage, no duties, no obligations. It is only based upon a person's viewpoint. As long as I feel that I want to be married, I shall be married. The moment I feel I don't want to be married, I can file for a divorce. And the state, without exception, 100% of the time, will always side with the petitioner. And the reason this is of such importance, again, is because this is nationwide. It's not just Pennsylvania. The case that is originating out of Pennsylvania is a great case because actually, if you look at what the courts said, the courts almost trapped themselves in what they said. This should be a case that should be heard and should be recognized for what it is. It is a violation of the Establishment Clause, and it is discriminatory on the basis of viewpoint. I think everybody who's read it so far has come to that conclusion. But again, this is a nationwide issue. Pennsylvania is just this example that's in front of the court right now, which again, I hope that they hear. but in every state of the United States of America. There may be two that may only permit it on the basis of mutual no-fault divorce, but every state will allow one person to allege insupportability or whatever and get a divorce. And part of the reason that this has gone on in all of these states is because this was collusion among the family law sections of the various state bar associations. They had been lobbying for no fault divorce statutes since before the 1960s. This is something that has gone on. They were trying to say, well, we need to have no fault divorce. There was no public outcry for no fault divorce. It was the divorce attorneys who were looking for a way to make money and trying to phrase it as if somehow it's a constitutional right. If you look at the underlying ideology behind them, you might say they're very ultra radical feminist. You might say that they're communist. They are very generally, very specifically invoking the politics of sex. They're trying to make some type of arguments for sexual politics, and they're destroying individuals. They're saying that a person's sexual fulfillment should be the utmost priority, and whatever that means to society is what it means to society. So going through the next few pages, there are various states that he cited, and he could have cited a lot more states, but as an example, he cited, I guess, 11 states here. And the conclusion is this: it bears repeating that a subjective standard for divorce is overtly contrary to the constitutional requirement that laws granting divorces be general and objective, not special laws created that a person can say, this is my special law, my special circumstance for which I want a divorce. That needs to be repeated again and again and again. The state courts openly admit that no fault divorces are granted on the basis of subjective viewpoint. It is imperative that constitutional order be returned to the state so marriage can be restored as a legitimate civil institution. Now, if you say you're a constitutionalist and you do not oppose unilateral no-fault divorce, I have a word for you: you're not. Unilateral no-fault divorce violates every single one of the Bill of Rights in the United States Constitution. It violates multiple provisions in state constitutions and in other parts of the U.S. Constitution as well. If you are a Christian and you're okay with unilateral no-fault divorce, you are not following the teachings of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, when asked in Matthew 19, Lord, is it okay for us to divorce our wife, basically for any reason, for no reason? Can we make up a reason? Jesus said this: from the beginning it was not so. It was never to be that way. What God has joined together, let no man take apart, tear asunder. And this also is an important warning to the state. The state should not be tearing asunder a marriage put together by God. That state and those people, in my opinion, will probably be cursed by God because of what they did. You are destroying families, you are destroying children. So the conclusion of the whole trial was this: the marriage was dissolved because Laura had alleged her marriage was irretrievably broken, but this invites the Pennsylvania trial court to endorse her viewpoint at the expense of Ryan's viewpoint. They are establishing a viewpoint which is contrary to the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. They said they could not deny the divorce based on Ryan's viewpoint, but if they can't deny a divorce based on Ryan's viewpoint, neither should they be able to grant a divorce based on Laura's viewpoint. Divorce is a creature of the state. The Pennsylvania courts have failed at every level to demonstrate that Section 3301D regulates conduct, which affirms that the petitioner's contention that Section 3301D is a viewpoint-based statute in violation of the Establishment Clause. Section 3301D provides legal favoritism to plaintiffs as a closed classification because it is the plaintiff in every case that alleges that the view that marriage is irretrievably broken. So this truly begs the question as to how Ryan Pankoe's numerous legal rights have been forcibly dissolved by the government, or whether he had any to begin with. When Ryan got married, he thought he was going to have certain legal rights granted to him in marriage. Did he have them? I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But when the state can take away these legal rights, these benefits, for no reason, based on no violation, based on nothing wrong, this is tyranny. This goes directly against the 14th Amendment, and it actually, again, establishes a viewpoint-based orthodoxy of the state. And you can read this further, but basically that is the petition. So that is what's in front of the Supreme Court right now. So that's kind of an overview of it. You can read it for yourself, probably read it faster on your own than what I took actually trying to go through it. But this is, in my opinion, this is the most important case that the Supreme Court should hear, because this has impact on every single person in the United States. Maybe not directly. Since 1969, when Reagan first signed it, there's probably been 50 million children of divorce that have been created because of this, many of them needlessly so. We are destroying our children, we are destroying our families, and children of divorce are more likely to get divorced on their own. Divorce is perpetuating itself, it's becoming transgenerational. So this is when I say it may not affect you directly. You probably have a friend, you probably have a brother or a sister, maybe a father or a mother, maybe a coworker, maybe somebody that you play softball with, maybe one of your children that have gone through this. And maybe you're a grandparent and you cannot see your grandkids right now because of unilateral no-fault divorce. This has ramifications everywhere. You may be an employer and you're hiring people that are broken by divorce, broken because they're the children of divorce, and you're saying, I can't get the talent that I used to have. There's something that's just not right about things, about different people in many instances. Often it becomes the issue of divorce. If you are a Christian, if you are an American, if you are a person who loves freedom, if you are a person who actually loves our Constitution, if you're a person who believes in the rule of law, you should be reading this case. You should be involved with this. You should say, this is absolutely right. I may not have thought about this. I may not like it, but it is true. Once we strip marriage of any legal protection, which is what we have, and we allow divorce based on viewpoint only, something is very drastically wrong. We need to change, and we need to do it immediately. Again, please join us. Pray for us. Pray that this case actually gets heard by the Supreme Court. To me, it seems like if the court hears it, that they would have to come to the same conclusion that I've come to, and I hope that you have come to as well. Anyway, that's it. It is a very important issue, and once again, thank you for listening to me as I've gone through this issue, this case, Pankoe v. Pankoe, in front of the Supreme Court. You can go to the ussupremecourt.gov, look under cases, docket, type in Pankoe, Pankoe, and the case will come up. You can read the you can read the appendix, you can read the petition, the appendixes, and everything else. And again, please pray that it gets heard, because this is, as Ronald Reagan said, was the biggest mistake of his political career. What Mike Huckabee said, it is the biggest tragedy, the worst thing that has ever happened to America. Thank you very much.